What's going on, FA Nation? Happy freaking Friday.
We made it.
We made it through the week, but we're not completely done. Another 7-game slate on tap today. It's just every day is just chock full of games, John. Last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It's been 6 to 9, 10, 11 games every single night. Not any different tonight. Brother, how are you feeling about tonight's slate? You were the man in the playbook. Also, shout out to Steve Pimentel producing today's slate. So, again, just like last night, we got the full squad here.
Yeah, I mean, the slate is really it's interesting because we have all of the big names on it, and we have all the value opening up. Just like $3,000 guys on DraftKings are like starting tonight. So, like, min-price plays across the board are in play. It's just... Yeah, it's going to be an interesting slate. It's going to be superstars and scrubs. I bet we're going to see some very high totals again tonight for scoring-wise. Cash lines be pretty high. I'd almost worry playing cash games tonight, to be honest with you. I think this might just be a GPP slate, just given all the value that's out there. It's just, it's going to be pretty difficult, I think. Everybody's going to be on all the same guys. I think I'd probably just stick with GPPs today.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially getting down to the nitty gritty. I think that's kind of how we're going to feel for the rest of the year. We're still going to obviously give, cash plays, but sure. I do think this part of the year is very unreliable. More GPP play, but let's jump into some injury news because that's obviously why we have so much value. Mike Conley was ruled out, and now he's back to being doubtful. I'd assume he's out, but let's just...
It could be a scenario where like they have so little depth that he's not like officially ruled out. He's just on the bench in case.
Yeah, able body, like in case of emergency. Joakim Noah also doubtful, and if Conley sits, we've already saw that Tyler Dorsey's going to start. So if Conley sits, Dorsey starts. So Frank Nikitalina is active, and Dave Fizdale has come out and said he is going to play significant minutes. Now he hasn't played in quite a while, so. What is significant minutes to Dave Fizdale? Nobody knows, but let's just remind everyone he hasn't played since January 27th. So almost 2 months. Now he's going to play significant minutes, and it was a great.
Seems crazy, but he's mid-price. So like,
right.
What do you do?
But I guess everyone's interpretation, including Dave Fizdale's, of insignificant minutes could be different. Maybe he says 20 minutes. Who actually knows? But you're right. He is min salary. We know LeBron's probable. We know Giannis is probable. Josh Hart's going to sit. Justice Winslow's going to sit. Kyle Lowry already ruled out. Alan Crabb already ruled out. Alonzo Trier already ruled out. Avery Bradley already ruled out. Dennis Smith Jr. ruled out. So we have a lot of guys out. When we shift over to Vegas, big totals, small totals. We were talking around the podcast last night. The Memphis-Orlando game is the smallest total. Well, who cares now, right? I mean, everyone on Memphis is in play. You could probably play some guys on Orlando considering Memphis is playing guys that nobody knows of and can be exploited. We have some really nice totals. Brooklyn, Lakers, 231 with a big revenge narrative in the late night hammer. That currently tops the list. 227. We have a 227. I mean, we have 5 of the 7 games over 220, 1 game over 230, 1 game under 210. So we have a very wide array of totals for Vegas tonight. But John, before we jump into this slate, as always, we do have something to give to the great people of the FA Nation.
It's true. We always have great deals going on over here at FA Nation, and today is obviously no different because, again, what would Friday live stream be without something to end the week with? So it is March Madness over here, and we're crushing the prices on all of our products for the NCAA tournament. Knowledge is power, so come get some. With the MLB Playbook Pro, fantasy baseball season's already starting. The Jim Button Draft Guide, the ultimate cheat sheet, gets you 5,000 features, 35 seasonal and DFS tools, plus live chat every day. You go to fantasyalarm.com/MLB season. Use promo code IMPEMBA or promo code Grande, Pimentel, or even Bender, in this case, Howard Bender's last name as well. You get 25% off the already low price. FaceLawn.com/MLB season. They get 25% off everything that we got going on. MLB Draft Guide right now. Again, MLB season starts up pretty soon if you haven't already started your leagues with the baseball that started over earlier this week.
Yeah, I'm thankful baseball's coming back. I always love the crossover, especially when we're going to be playing mostly NBA, because now everyone's going to be playing two sports. Leg up, baby. We're going to have the leg up on everyone trying to
Hopefully.
play two sports.
Yeah.
Don't hopefully this. It's definitely John.
All right.
Let's hop into the playbook because I just counted the amount of point guards you have written down, and it's scary. It's a scary number. And it honestly has only gotten bigger with guys like Frankie Smokes and honestly Tyler Dorsey not even there. So let's just start up at the top where we have Russell Westbrook coming off an absolute monster game against Toronto, and now we get the same exact matchup. Do you where would you rank Russ in terms of, I guess, just the top price guys overall? And if Russ isn't your guy tonight at point guard, why don't you just take us through some of the guys that are?
Yeah, no, I mean, he is certainly in the play. He went for 66 DraftKings points, 58 FanDuel points due to the turnovers the other day. And he gets the exact same matchup that we just sort of, talked about here with Fred VanVleet starting a point guard for Toronto. There's no Kyle Lowry. So, I mean, this is just another great spot for him. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to play him. I mean, there are a lot of other high-priced plays on this slate, and I actually think point guard, given everything, is actually one of the, better depth positions tonight. And so for that reason, I don't have a lot of Russell Westbrook in my lineups. He's more of a cash game play, I think, for me tonight, if you're going that route. So, yeah, he works up there. I probably have him my number one cash game. I think I would have him as my number, for price-wise, maybe my number 3 GBP play. I like Harden as my top GBP play. I like LeBron just for the salary savings that you're getting with him. And then I like Westbrook after that. But like you said, to me, point guard is just absolutely loaded. There's just so many guys that we can go to tonight. As we go down, even that mid-tier level. You and I talked just before we jumped on air. I'm big on Colin Sexton tonight. The guy has scored 20-plus actual points in 7 straight games, 30-plus actual points in that same stretch. I think there's great cash game upside with him as well. Get him in GBPs if he finds himself into an extra steal, maybe an extra couple assists. He can give you 40-plus fantasy points. Gilgeous-Alexander is another guy I'm really trying to work into my GPP lineups tonight. On the flip side, because again, Sexton, terrible defender, you can attack him. And Gilgeous-Alexander isn't scoring actual points as much. He's still giving you 15, 14, 16 points, but he's giving you rebounds, assists, steals. He's a guy, if he can fall into some more points or in this better matchup, there's GPP upside there with him. I like Jamal Murray against the Knicks. Even when Frankie Smokes, the better defender, typically we assume, probably playing a lot of minutes tonight, there's still GPP upside with him. We talk about Dragic a lot. We have no ownership pretty much on him tonight. We don't think anybody's going to play him. Even the 22 minutes the other day don't scare me. He's played really well since coming back from his injury. Point guard's just uber deep tonight. And I haven't even mentioned Fred VanVleet, who is probably going to be one of the most popular plays in the entire slate. He went for 36 against the Thunder the other day. Same matchup for him. No Lowry, as I said. He's going to play all the minutes and be productive. And they're at home, which gives them a little bit of a boost as well.
So since we're on point guards, the Memphis Grizzlies just released their starting lineup. And there's no Mike Conley, but they have not officially ruled him out yet. So Tyler Dorsey is starting. So it does seem like maybe we'll get a scenario where Mike Conley's active and, in case of an emergency, he's able to play. Are there any, there's some value, but you talked about it, Frankie Smokes. Is that it? Is that as far as down as you're going to go? Kadeem Allen kind of he's not viable with Frank in play, right? Yeah,
he was more in play before I knew that news about Frankie Smokes being active. I thought, there was a chance, just a sort of a game theory punt. He was already in the rotation. If Moutier sucks, they have no problem going to Kadeem Allen. But now we know that, as he said, Smokes is going to play significant minutes tonight. If that's 30 minutes, that's enough to cut into the backup guard spot already. So, definitely off of him for some value. Obviously, on DraftKings, more guys are point guard eligible than they are on FanDuel. Dylan Wright, point guard, shooting guard on DraftKings. Only a shooting guard on FanDuel. But again, he becomes one of the more popular plays in the entire slate. We know how productive he can be when he's on the floor, plays a bunch of minutes as it is. And then you look at that starting lineup, and it kind of gives you shivers a little bit. Who's going to actually score the basketball there for them? You have, Kabakalo, Dorsey, as you said. Justin Holiday has been terrible since being traded there. It could be, honestly, like Wright and Valanciunas. They probably have a lot of chemistry together, coming from Toronto, playing on the second unit together for a lot of the season. Those two guys, maybe they're just going to play the 1-2 pick and roll game or something against Orlando tonight.
Right. It's definitely a valid point. They're just obviously the two most offensively skilled players Memphis has going tonight. Let's shift over to shooting guard, where James Harden tops the list per usual, coming off an absolute just monster performance. 2 of the last 4 games, he's gone for at least 80 fantasy points. You mentioned he's one of your favorite plays of the slate. I don't think we need to break him down too much. I mean, he's garnering pretty high ownership. Play him if you want kind of scenario. Where else at the shooting guard position are you looking? Because you have more mid-tier in value than you do like 7K to 8K kind of guys.
So, I mean, D'Angelo Russell in the playbook I have as a point guard because he's point guard, shooting guard on FanDuel. But he primarily is a shooting guard. I mean, as a point guard, shooting guard on DraftKings, shooting guard only on FanDuel. He gets that revenge narrative game against the Lakers tonight. He went for 58, against 50 fantasy points in that first one. He's gone for 77 and 58 in the last 2. He's going into LA. So I do like him, and he's in that 8K range, as you mentioned. He's sort of the next tier down from there. But then you're right. I do have a lot of mid-tier guys. Lou Williams, I think is always in play for GPPs, gets that matchup against Cleveland. I had Damian Dotson in there. I still think he's going to play a lot of the minutes at shooting guard. I don't see them really playing Allen and Moutier at shooting guard alongside Frankie Smokes. It could be just the fact that Allen doesn't play anymore. He might be just completely cut from the rotation here, and it's Moutier and Nicolina being there as the point guard. So I still think Dotson's in just in case there. I like Connaughton, and we talked about him now that Brogdon's ruled out. Connaughton has been a guy that a lot of people that he's been playing a lot of the minutes in place of him. KCP is another guy who's been playing a lot of minutes, even though LBJ is being back tonight. He's still probably going to play around 30 minutes in that rotation. We love attacking the Thunder at the shooting guard position. Danny Green went for 37 fantasy points against them the other day. I have no problem at value going back to them. And as you mentioned, Tyler Dorsey, another guy who's now starting, and he's, min price $3,100. Min price on DraftKings, 37 over on FanDuel. So I'm not really spending up. I didn't love shooting guard really at the top too much outside of Harden and outside of Russell. And on FanDuel, you have to play Wright at shooting guard. You have to play Dorsey at shooting guard. So it's kind of where I'm at that position.
Yeah, the KCP, I like that with no Josh Hart. I think there's definitely a role for him off the bench. Moving over to small forward, we have, as you mentioned, a bunch of stars. We have Giannis, have LeBron, we have Paul George, we have Kawhi. We kind of ranked them on the podcast, but I'm interested in your thoughts if anything changed throughout the day, or for anyone who didn't listen to the podcast, how would you rank them, I guess, in terms of cash, and maybe would you switch it around in terms of tournaments as well?
Well, I mean, I still think Giannis obviously presents the highest ceiling of the group. And it's hard to argue that, really. He went for 75 fantasy points against Miami before. He's just, when he's on his game, few people can really match his upside. $13,000 on FanDuel, though, is just almost impossible to really pay up for. He may be contrarian for that fact on FanDuel. I do like LeBron and Kawhi better than him in terms of value, point per dollar, probably in cash games. Giannis and GBPs, George and GBPs is fine. I like LeBron probably overall of that group. If you made me pick one to put in my lineup, it's probably going to be LeBron.
And no, you don't have any interest in Paul George?
No, he's just sort of in that GBP tier for me.
Let's move down the list where you have guys listed like Danilo Gallinari. He's just a cash game guy that you could play in tournaments. I think he has a pretty safe floor, pretty safe. It's a nice floor-ceiling combination. Rudy Gay, Jonathan Isaac are 2 interesting mid-tier guys. Why don't you break them down? Because Rudy Gay's been really good, and we only have him projected at 1%.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing is here, you have to look to see if the Spurs are playing back-to-backs, and they're not. Now, he may not start. They're likely going to go Pirtle again at center, Aldridge. But if you look at the minutes of Pirtle, they've been trending down. Gay kind of slides in there when they go Aldridge at center. And he's been a very productive player. He's going to give you like mid-30s in fantasy points for the majority of the time that he's, getting part of his rotational minutes. So, and if this game becomes a shootout, becomes a back and forth, high-scoring game, they could rely a lot on Rudy Gay here. And we know that his upside this season, we've seen him go for 40, 50 fantasy points. So I do like Gay at his price, $5,400 and $6,000. Jonathan Isaac, someone that you and I have been on for a while. He went through a cold streak, but he snapped out of it last game. Went for like 38, I think, fantasy points or something like that. Gets a matchup against Memphis, and we already talked about it. They have absolutely no depth there tonight. Should be a mismatch for him. So I think he's another solid mid-tier play. I threw Gary Harris in there against the Knicks. I kind of combined him and Barton, both as GPP plays. Harris is playing more minutes. The Knicks are just terrible defensively. So I think it works for both of them. And then we go down to some value here. You have Daniel House, who let everybody down again the other day, but I don't think that's changed his role. Like he still played a lot of minutes. He just missed the shots that he had available to him and didn't have a lot because Harden went off for like 80-something fantasy points or whatever. So I still think House is a guy you can look at. I still find that Parsons is going to play probably 25 minutes off the bench, maybe more if some of the other guys, don't pan out. I really liked the fact that he played 25 minutes the other day because it showed that, at the very least, that's his ceiling, and maybe now we're going to get him to go over 25 minutes the way they've been resting him. So we know Parsons, back when healthy a couple years ago, was a pretty elite fantasy play. So he's another one. And then a guy who's not in the playbook, but our ownership percentages really like him, is Derrick Jones Jr. You mentioned Rodney McGruder's out. There's no Justice Winslow. He's already in the rotation. He played 30 minutes the other day. He's had some good games this year. He kind of fills up the stat sheet a little bit, but in terms of like production, he's probably more of a GPP play than anything. But again, small forward's kind of another interesting spot where I actually think it's rather deep, just given all the guys at the top and some of the mid-tier.
So we do have a question since we're on small forward, and I'm pretty sure everyone has an idea of who your answer is going to be because one of them were in the playbook and the other two weren't. But a question from HRich00 for GPP: Rudy Gay, Josh Richardson, Cedi Osman.
Yeah, so, obviously I like Gay. It's nothing to take away from Cedi because I still think he's going to play a bunch of minutes, but he did only play like 29 minutes the other day with Love and Nance and Thompson back, and he was playing 35. So if he's not playing 35 and he's not being incredibly active, then I think we have to notch him down a little bit. I still like him, I think, more than Josh Richardson, though.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move over to power forward, where LaMarcus Aldridge tops the list according to your playbook, but do you like him more than Pascal Siakam? Because I don't know if Pascal Siakam has quickly become one of our favorite players to deploy in DFS.
Yeah, it's not that he's tops the list because he's my number one. He's just the most expensive, and the way I do the playbook, I do it in tiers, and in terms of price points, Aldridge is priced higher than Siakam. I like Aldridge as a game stack. He's played pretty well against Houston this year. It's not like he's dominated them, but again, I'm expecting, a pretty high scoring, close game here. So, and Aldridge has been playing pretty well. So I like him in the matchup. But right, it's hard to ignore the fact that Siakam just went for 60 fantasy points, and that's with Kawhi in the lineup. We're used to, touting Siakam hard when no Kawhi Leonard's in there, but Kawhi played the other day and Siakam went off. Has the exact same matchup here against Jeremy Grant. So if everything lines up for him again, it's hard to predict 60 fantasy points, but maybe he goes for 40, and that's still great value at his price tag.
Moving down the list, a couple of GPP guys. Montrezl Harrell, definitely a tournament guy. He's been very good lately. Kyle Kuzma's ownership discrepancy is very interesting.
It's crazy,
to me.
Right?
25% projection over on FanDuel and only 7 on DraftKings. And I guess I get it because it's very rare to see a player priced below, like for a FanDuel price to be below a DraftKings price. And I think that's probably where people are looking. Is that are you buying into that? Like, are you looking at him more on FanDuel seeing that? Or does that not bother you? You're playing him on both sites anyway.
So for me, I think it actually just works out the fact that he is where people's salaries are just sort of left at after filling in their lineups. Like, all right, we need to get X value. We need to get X top tier player. all right, where am I? Like, power forward doesn't have like the value tonight, and it doesn't have the top stars. So I think people are filling out probably power forward like last, and Kuzma's just fitting into that spot on FanDuel where it's like, all right, $6,300. Yep, I can. Kyle Kuzma gives me 30 to 35 fantasy point upside. Matt against the Nets, like lock him in, no problem. Get late in the game exposure. Whereas on DraftKings, a lot of guys are power forward, center, small forward, power forward, and you get a little bit more creative with the position, and that's why I think people are less on him on DraftKings. But FanDuel, and I found this too with my builds, the price point just fits a lot of the time. Right. So Kuzma and GPPs works. The guy below him, Bam Adebayo starting at center for them. The guy grabbed 15 rebounds the other day, and he's been pretty consistent, since he's been in their starting lineup. So he's starting over Whiteside. I have him in cash games. I think he's a pretty good cash game play. I know our ownerships are for large entry GPPs, but I mean if he gets you $3,500, I don't mind. I mean 35 points. I don't mind throwing him in a GPP either. Right.
We just have to. There's always just the one thing in the back of your mind that has to say, hopefully tonight isn't a Whiteside night. That's the only thing that we're.
Well, I would only be surprised if it's a Whiteside night because it's up against Brook Lopez, and Whiteside's not going to go out to the perimeter to defend Lopez. Bam is actually at least athletic enough to kind of guard outside of the paint, where Whiteside rarely leaves. So
I know. It's just something that's always in the back of my mind. Just considering they're paying Whiteside max contract, and Bam is not anywhere near that type of price point. Two other guys you have written down in the playbook: Jeremy Grant, Aaron Gordon. What formats do you like them? Cash games, tournaments? Talk to us here.
Yeah, I mean, I think game stacking wise, Grant works. I think he's more of a tournament play, but he's not terrible for cash. Like again, you look at his recent performances; he's been pretty steady. We know he's going to play a lot of minutes. They don't really have a backup. They signed Markieff Morris, but they don't play him. So Grant's fine. And Gordon was sort of a late addition to me. For me, I saw the Noah news, and I was like, all right, well, who are they going to put down there at power forward that's going to deal, with Gordon? Because at times they played Noah and they played Valanciunas, and those are bigger bodies. Maybe the rebounds wouldn't be there. Gordon's been playing really well, and if it's a guy like Ivan Rabb, or if they even go smaller and move Kabakala to like power forward or something, I think Gordon's going to really take advantage of that type of matchup. So Gordon was a late addition to me, but I like him in GPPs.
I just want your opinion on Kabakalo, small forward, power forward eligible. He played 41 minutes last game, and I know you want Parsons to be a thing, and he very much could be soon. But right now, Kabakalo's the one playing 40 minutes. Do you have any love for him at all?
He's okay. The thing is, like, we've seen him play a lot of minutes before, and he's not always doing anything. And while you look at his 40 minutes the other day, and he had 25 fantasy points or something like that. Sure. I mean, it's $4,000. I think it was on FanDuel. So he fits if you want to go that direction. He just was unexciting to me. And I think we don't want a lot of exposure to that game. So, going with Wright and going with Dorsey is probably as much as you want. And maybe Parsons, I said, if you trust that maybe he could get more minutes tonight.
We don't want it, yet here we are. 10 guys in, and we're what a disaster. Let's finish it up at center, John, where we have Nikola Jokic. We have the Nicholas topping the price points. Vukovic and Jokic, do you prefer one to the other? Do you like both? I mean, they're both in your playbook. How would you kind of rank them? What formats would you like to use them in?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, Jokic is a GPP play. We actually have decent ownership on him tonight, like pretty actually high ownership over on DraftKings. I worry again of a blowout. It's 11-point spread. They're coming, if they are anywhere near, 15, 16-point lead, they could pull them off, go play Plumlee. They're coming off a back-to-back. They're trying to make a playoff push. Like, if they don't need to play him against him, like, they're going to sit him, I think. So it's a big risk, and that ownership surprised me a little bit. I do obviously like Vucevic. I know Valanciunas is a big body, but Vucevic had no problem in that matchup a couple of games ago against them. I actually really like Clint Capella. I have him, I think, in more lineups tonight than I do the other guys. He's averaging about 50 fantasy points in 3 games against the Spurs, averaging just under 40 over his last 6 games. He's playing really well, and he always sort of does play well when Harden and all them are, because he gets the misses and he gets the lobs, and that kind of fits his game. So I do like Capella a lot tonight. if we're going sort of another mid-tier. And then I threw Mitchell Robinson in there again as a game theory play. They got blown out by Utah the other day, and he played a bunch of minutes. I love him. He's just I don't know why they're playing DeAndre Jordan, and I wish he would get more run than he does. So GPP only. But we have like 20% ownership rate on Robinson tonight for DraftKings. I think that's because people are thinking game theory. I think they're thinking this game gets a blowout. Robinson comes in against the second unit, blocks like 5 shots, gets you a double-double, and he's giving you 40 at $4,300. He's giving you almost 10x upside in a GPP tournament. So Robinson, and then I threw Zubac out there because, again, if he plays 20 minutes tonight, he's going to give you almost a double-double with the block, and that's more than enough if you're looking to spend down. Because to me, center, I don't love the center's position a lot tonight, but I feel like if you want to spend down and spend up elsewhere, those are 2 plays.
Now, I will ask you about Jonas Valanciunas because, like you mentioned earlier, it's him and DeLon Wright basically in the first unit, at least scoring. No Joakim Noah. And if you look at ownership projections, it's the 2 Nicholas, and then it's Vooch. Or then it's Valanciunas.
Yep.
So, again, we keep touting these Memphis guys, and it's a total that is absolutely disgusting, horrifying, terrifying. We want to close our eyes. We want to throw up just thinking about playing multiple guys from this game. But where is the offense going to come from? And do you think that it's going to come from Valanciunas?
I mean, we hope so. And he was in the playbook, and I called him, kind of like an elite play if he sees 30-plus minutes, which is a possibility here. And he put up 36 fantasy points in 24 minutes against Orlando a couple games ago. So the upside is there. We obviously see the ownership, only $6,600 on DraftKings. As you said, though, it's just not a game we really want to have a bunch of, 208 game total. It's ugly, But as I said before, I think him and Wright could be the 2 leading scorers in this matchup. My only maybe worry is Vucevic is a very talented offensive player. Not that Valanciunas is like a foul-happy dude, but you never know. If he has to play a bunch of minutes, they don't really have a backup. If he gets exposed a little bit more than he's used to, that could be some trouble for him.
Let's take some questions. We have a lot of questions coming through in chat. A lot of just banter going on. Jeremy Grant or Bam Adebayo from Big Migs?
In GPPs, I guess you have to go with Grant, and cash I'd go Bam.
H00 asks Clint Capella or Jonas Valanciunas?
I really like Capella tonight in that game, so that's where I would go.
Big Migs also said, I seem to be more Russell Westbrook than the Beard. Am I crazy?
Nope. I think it works. I just think that if you want to be a little bit contrarian, I think a lot of people will be on Westbrook in that Toronto OKC game, and maybe you'll get less ownership on Houston. And again, what we saw from Westbrook, he went for 66, Harden went for 86. So it's not like they're, bad plays. I just like this matchup more.
Cheyenne, one of our long-time subscribers, asked Chandler Parsons and Josh Richardson or Will Barton and Gary Harris?
What was the first 2?
Josh Richardson and Chandler Parsons are the 2 Denver guys.
Probably Richardson and Parsons, because I don't know what's going to happen in that Denver game. Again, they're coming off a back-to-back. They could just easily play them 20 minutes and give the bench run there.
All right. Let's get 3 must plays for cash games. Dependent on site, maybe it's different for you. Going from FanDuel to DraftKings, 3 must plays for cash games to get take us out.
Yeah, I think we have to go right. I really like. I'm gonna go Westbrook and cash. We'll go right, and I'll go Bam. I really like Bam tonight in cash. I think he's a lock for 35 fantasy points.
I like it. Bam, Westbrook, DeLon Wright, 3 cash game locks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We finished a live stream prior to 6:30. John, pat on the back, brother. Yeah. We made it. It only took us 70 games to do it, but we made it. Thanks again to Steve Pimentel for producing today. He'll be on the playbook tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But we're out. Catch you guys in the winner's circle.